Okay, for this video, we're going to do a few application questions of solving linear equations, where you have to be able to translate from words to math, basically, and then solve what you have left. So, a company must increase production by 12% over last year's production. The new output will be 56 items, and so what was last year's output? So, you always want to know what your variable is first, so I will use X for last year's output. And then we want to do 12% more than last year's output. So basically if we take last year's, whatever happened last year, plus 12% over that, so we would do 0.12, so 12% as a fraction, as a decimal is 0.12. So last year plus 12% more, which would be 0.12 of our, well, let me write it in words, last year. That has to give me my new number of items, which would be 56. So last year, whatever happened, plus 12% of last year, which would be the 12% more that we're doing, is going to be my number of items, which is 56. So this is the way to translate 12% more. So I would have last year, which I already said is X. So my last year, however many I produced, whether it was 40 or 30 or, 47 or whatever. Plus, if I take 12% of last year, then I have to get my new output of 56 items, because I'm going to do 12% more this year. So last year plus 12% more. So last year plus 12% of last year gives me my new number. So if I add this, 1 plus 0.12 is 1.12. X is equal to 56. And then if you divide both sides by 1.12, you get X is 50. So last year's output was 50 items. And this year's output is going to be 56 items, and that's 12% more than last year. So number 26, you have the perimeter of a triangle is 105 centimeters. So let me see if I can shorten this. I hate making these videos really long. So perimeter is 105 centimeters of this triangle. Each of the two legs is exactly twice the length of the base. So each leg is exactly twice the length of the base. And so you want to know how long is each leg. So here's our triangle. Always helpful to draw a picture when you can. So here's our triangle. So here's our base, which is B. Or you can use X if you really prefer, but I'll use B for base. And each leg is exactly twice this length. So this leg has to be 2B, and this leg has to be 2B. So for perimeter, if you add up all the sides, you get the perimeter. So if I take my base plus each leg, I get my perimeter, which is, it told me 105 centimeters. So now all I have to do is solve this equation. So B plus 2B plus 2B is 5B. Is 105, and then again to undo multiplication, I divide both sides by 5, and I get B is 21 centimeters. But that's not your answer, because this is your base, which is 21 centimeters. But that's not the question asked, how long is each leg? So you need to tell me how long these are. So if I do 2 times 21, I get 42. So this is 42 and that is 42. So the actual answer to the question is each leg is 42 centimeters. So usually on something like this, if you make a mistake, it's that you solve it correctly, but that maybe you don't. It might say how long is all the sides, and you have to tell me all 3 sides, or like this one, you wanted to know how long was each leg. And so sometimes people just solve and stop and they forget to go back and figure out the other sides. For number 28, we have, oops, I've written on this page. One number is 15 more than another number, so we've got one number is 15 more than another number. And the sum of the two numbers is 27. So what are they? So if you want to use X for number, you can. If you want to use N, I'll switch it to N. So N is one number. And then it tells you that the other number is 15 more than that. So just a trick here, anytime you see the word than, you want to write whatever's after than first. And it's particularly helpful on less than, because if you're adding, it doesn't matter, because you know N plus 15 and 15 plus N are the same thing, but it's not the same thing if it said less than. N minus 15 and 15 minus N are different. So that's just something I do. But anyways, so N plus 15 is your other number. So some people would write 15 plus N, which is fine because it's addition, but again, if it's less than, you want to switch it around. So anyway, so they have to add up to 27. So I'm going to have N plus 15 has to be 27. So I can say 2N. So I got N plus N is 2N. And then I want to subtract my 15 because I'm adding it here. So I want to subtract 15 on both sides. So I've got 2N is 27 minus 15 is 12. And then I'm going to undo my multiplication by division. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. So again, here you've solved it, which is fine, but the question is, what are both numbers? So if N is 6, so this number is 6, then 6 plus 15 is 21. That's my other one. So don't forget to go back and figure out your other number. Okay, for the last one here for applications, we have number 30. You have 3 consecutive even integers. Add to 132, and you want to figure out what they are. So, if N is my first even integer, I'm going to put even int. Then to get to my next one, so if I start out like at 2, to get to 4, I add 2, right? So N plus 2 would be my second even integer. If it just said 3 consecutive integers, I would be adding 1 between each one, because to get from one to the other, you just add 1. But since it says even, I want to add 2 to get to my second one. And then to get to my third one, I would add another 2, so 2 plus 2 is 4. Would be my third even integer. So there's my even integers. So I want to say, okay, they add up to 132. So if I add up all these, I have to get 132. So N plus 2 plus N plus 4 has to give me 132. So N plus N plus N is 3N. 2 plus 4 is 6. If I subtract 6 on both sides, I get 3N is 126, and then to undo the multiplication, I'm going to divide, so N is 42. So my first even integer is 42, which means my second even integer is 42 plus 2, which is 44, and my third is 42 plus 2 plus 2, or plus 4, which is 46. So my even integers that add up to 132 are right there, and they do add up to 132. Okay, so now you're going to do a few application questions on your own for the homework and answer those, and then you'll do the next little section.